Hello again. In this video, we will learn more about the superlative degree. In our last video, we talked about the comparative degree and how it is used in different ways in English. And earlier, we talked about the degrees of adjective like positive, comparative, and superlative. So let's learn how superlative degree is used and what are the things we have to keep in our mind while using the superlative degree. The first rule or a first point that we need to keep in our mind is whenever you use superlative degree, then the almost always or a possessive case of noun or pronoun is used before it, means before the superlative degree. That's the rule. Like the tallest building, tallest, superlative degree. So I'm using here the, according to the rule. The longest route, longest, superlative degree. So here we have to use the. Secondly, we are using here Kizir's best performance. Best is superlative degree, but instead of using the, I'm using here the possessive case of noun Kizir, which is doing the same work as the definite article the. Or history's biggest mistake. Here history's possessive case, biggest is a superlative degree, and we are using here possessive case. In place of the possessive case of nouns, we can also use the possessive cases of pronoun. Like my best performance, his best performance, her best performance, etc. Or my biggest mistake, his biggest mistake, their biggest mistake. So the point is that whenever you are using the superlative degree, either you have to use the, which is the definite article before it, or the possessive degrees of noun or pronoun. That is the first point. Second point is we have also a construction that we need to understand. That is, we use one of the or some of the plus superlative degree of adjective plus noun. This construction is also very commonly used in writing, or you can also use it in spoken language, but mostly in composition you will find it. Like this is one of the most exciting, that is superlative degree, one of the most exciting modern transports is a plural noun. When you are using this construction, again one of the most or some of the most. So here one of the most, superlative degree, and then we are using plural noun. This construction is also very commonly used. Like Japan has some of the fastest, some of the plus fastest, and then plural noun trains in the world. So this is also the construction you will find in day-to-day use of English language when we talk about the superlative degree. Then the question arises that if I'm using the superlative degree to make the comparison between nouns, that means on the one hand we have one noun, and on the other hand we have more than one nouns. So there we use superlative degree. We have already talked about that thing. And if you want to know more about the superlative degree and how it is used, please watch that video. So here the question arises, what prepositions are used with it? So the preposition that we use with the superlative degree are in and of. Now, what are the rules that govern the use of in or of? Let's discuss that thing. We use in for locations, means places. When after the superlative degree you have a place or a location, or single groups, means collective nouns. Superlative degree plus collective nouns. Then we use the preposition in. Of is used for period of time, means when you are using superlative degree plus period of time, you use of, or specific set of items or persons, means individual persons but more than one, or set of items more than one, and then you use of. Let us understand these two rules through the examples. The first example is, it is the tallest building in. I'm using here preposition in, and after that I have the location or the place, that is the world. The world in parts of speech is a noun and it shows place. So when we are talking about locations, we have to use preposition in or places. Number two, he is the smartest, superlative degree. He is the smartest in the class. Here we are using the noun that is showing place or location. That's why I'm using here in. Here one thing may be noted, that I'm using only the person who is compared, not the persons with whom we are comparing. But if I'm using the persons, then I will have to use of. If I say he is the smartest of all students, here I'm using the other group of people also, and then I'm putting the location. So I would say he is the smartest of all students in the class. But mostly in this construction, we drop out the persons we compare the noun with or the pronoun with. For third example is, it was the hottest day. I'm using here of because the word the year shows period of time. We already talked about that thing. It was the hottest day of the year. Period of time, I'm using here of. The last example is, we are giving the people with whom we are comparing one person. So I earlier mentioned, then we also in that case use of. Like, she is the prettiest, superlative degree, of all girls. And if I am giving the example in school, in university, in college, then I am putting here the place or the location. Then I will again put another preposition, that is in. So in a nutshell, that when you are talking about locations, places, the prepositions must be used, that is in. If you are showing the period of time, then you use of. If you are mentioning the people with whom you are making the comparison with, then you also use of. That is the rule number 3. We have also another term, that is superlative of eminence, or some grammarians call it absolute superlative. We'll talk about how the degrees of adjectives are formed. There are regular and irregular. We'll be talking about them. So when we use most for making the superlative degree of an adjective, sometimes it is confusing for many students. Let us do away with that confusion. In some cases, we use the word most before an adjective, but there is no comparison. And in that particular situation, the word most shows the meaning of very or exceedingly, but no any comparison. So that situation in grammar is called superlative of eminence or absolute superlative. Let us understand that thing through the example. This is most unfortunate. Unfortunate, adjective, and then I'm using here most, but I'm not making any comparison. So here I'm using the word most in the sense of very, very unfortunate, exceedingly unfortunate. Sometimes this is mistaken for the superlative degree, and people think before the superlative degree we use the, then why the is not used? The point is here because it is not used as superlative degree. We are going to talk about the rules later. First of all, have a look at some more examples. It was a most eloquent speech. Again, eloquent is adjective. When we are using most before it, we can mistake for the superlative degree, this particular phrase, most eloquent, but here it is not used. Here I am using very eloquent, exceedingly eloquent. So here most is used in the sense of very or exceedingly. Truly a most ingenuous advice. Again, superlative of eminence, no comparison. That is most kind of you, means that is very kind of you. Not here use any, we are not using most in the sense of any comparison. In order to understand this particular point properly, let's keep some points in mind. The first point is here most is used as an adverb and is simply boosting the meaning of adjectives, not making any comparison. It shows emphasis but no any comparison, not comparison. Means it's not comparing with anything, only it shows emphasis. Exceedingly kind, exceedingly ingenuous, exceedingly eloquent. So here it is emphasizing the meaning of the adjectives but not making any comparison. Third point, key point is when most boosts the meaning of adjective and does not show comparison, the is omitted, as I earlier talked about it. We use the before the superlative degree of adjective when there's a sense of comparison, but when it is superlative of eminence, no definite article or possessive case is used. So these 3 points must be borne in mind. Let us further understand this thing while comparing 2 sentences. So let's compare these 2 sentences. This is the most, please mark the word the. This is the most unfortunate event. Here event is noun. It means there are other events and this is the most unfortunate one, making the comparison with other events. So in that sense, where there's a comparison, we call it, this is relative superlative degree. Keep that point in your mind or a term. If you don't keep that point, still it's okay. So when, once again I'm saying, the sense of comparison is there, we call it relative superlative. But this is most, no article. This is most unfortunate and no noun. So this is most unfortunate, means here most is used in the sense of very or exceedingly. There is no comparison. When there is no comparison, then we call it, this is absolute superlative, or we call it superlative of eminence. Now while using the comparatives and superlative degrees, students make a lot of mistakes. So let us also have a look at what are the common mistakes that students make and try to avoid them while writing and speaking. The first point is don't use most with est superlatives, because when you are making a superlative degree tall, taller, tallest, est, so there's no need to put most before it. And this is very common mistake we have observed that students make while writing and speaking. So he is the most fastest runner. Wrong sentence. Fastest, est, most, no sense, and there is no way. we use the superlative degree in that way, double superlatives, or even if that doesn't exist. The right sentence is, he is the fastest runner. Fastest already is a superlative degree, no need to put most before it. So, right sentence, the fastest. Wrong sentence, most fastest. The other point or the other mistake that has been observed, that we make or the students make comparison between two things or two persons and put there the superlative degree. That is also wrong. How? Let us understand that thing through the examples. Between the two twins, how many twins? Two. She is the smartest. Here I am making comparison between two and using the superlative degree, smartest. That makes my sentence wrong. Then what should be the right sentence? The right sentence is, between the two twins, she is smarter. Smarter, smart, smarter, smartest. So I am making the comparison between two, and the rule says that I must put the comparative degree. So these were the certain things we ignore while using the superlative degree of adjective in a spoken or written language, mostly in composition. And these are the mistakes that students lose precious marks while writing and composing in English. I hope you learned, and I try to make things as simple as possible. Still, if you have any confusion, you can ask me in the comments. Until my next video, bye bye.